Yo, what's up guys? And people have been asking, is Swift Ancient Runes OP? Is it gonna be OP? Is it gonna break the game? Is it gonna do whatever? I heard some reactions from other people and some I did agree. Like for example, Once in Love, he made his video, I put it down in the description down below as well. He's making YouTube videos as well. Follow that guy. He's one of the few content creators that doesn't just do it for entertainment and that kind of stuff. He's really like trying to like educate and help people. So if you want more content like educational, check out his channel. He's pretty good with that stuff, and he has the calm voice. He's the calmest guy ever to like explain all of that. I'm all over the place. Depends on my mood, whatever. Okay, so let's get into this thing. So we all have seen this, like, yeah, we're getting Lulu, and Lulu becomes Lulu's, I guess. I don't know. And this thing just looks amazing. Wait, where that? Where that? Well, all of this artwork looks amazing, man. I'm not gonna lie. It looks pretty cool. So I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm talking about, okay, we're gonna get Swift, Guard, Shield, Destroy, and Tolerance runes from this thing. And people are like, no, I'm gonna like drop giants and this is gonna be so great. I'm gonna get all of my speed sets. I'm like, dude, what? You barely get speed sets from giants. Like specific speed on specific slots that you need on Swift from giants, which you can farm technically unlimited. Well, technically. Then you have a limited resource and you're expecting to get Swift like speed runes from that, including the grinds and everything, while you're having like 0 grinds on whatever. I don't see it happen, man. I'm not gonna lie, I don't see it happening. Like, sure, you can re-up that stuff, sure, but speed chasing re-up sucks. I'm telling you, it sucks. And the thing why other ancient runes are pretty usable is because they have a whole variety of what you can use. Swift, you pretty much just want speed. Okay, if you get some high like attack, crit rate, crit damage, that kind of stuff, you can get away with it on like any kind of like speedy-ish nuker. But in hindsight, you want, if you quad roll a slot 1 with 40% HP on a Swift, and then nothing, like, are you gonna use that room? Probably. If there was a will room, would be like, nice, yeah, I can totally think of like, man, a whole bunch of units that you can actually throw like a 40% HP ungrinded on a slot 1, and that totally makes sense. But also, if you think about it, what, like Swift, it just matters that you have high speed. It doesn't matter that you have that high efficiency. Sure, higher efficiency Swift always, like, it helps, true, but in hindsight you would rather trade like 3 points of speed over like 3% of rune efficiency. And the thing is with what does ancient runes make ancient runes that well? It's not that you can get potential 2 extra speed, or like woohoo, 2 extra speed on a max of 35, woohoo, not a big deal. But the thing what's the big deal is, you on every grinded stat you can get 2 extra stats. So for hero, it's normally the 4 to 7, which is now then the 5 to 9, or the 4 to 9. I don't know. It at least it's plus 2 points. Same for the or plus 2%. Same for the legendary, which is 5 to 12 instead of 5 to 10. So I think the other ones is 4 to 9, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. So you have a lot of up by that, but also your enchants are also plus 2. So the potential of grinds and gems is really high on ancient runes, but mainly in the stats actually of HP, defense, and attack percent, or if you enchant plus grind speed in there. Just the 1 extra up from the speed grind is not that much. To be honest, I'm gonna farm Elucia. I always forget which one it was. The one is the fair, the other one is the dungeon. You know what I mean. I'm gonna be farming that one, and there's, I think, 3 reasons for it. Let's see if I can count the 3. Maybe it's 4. So first reason is Swift, you only need speed Swifts. And if you farm giants for a month, like how many actual like good speed runes do you get? It's really difficult. It's so like, because you're pinpointing down your whole scala of whatever runes you can get to really like, I need this specific piece. And if you have this much of a resource, you can find this piece. But if you have this much resource, you're finding this piece and it's impossible. That's kind of like my comparison, what I would try to make. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you cannot use all of the stats on a Swift rune. Some stats on Swift rune are just useless. So if you get a quad roll resistance on a Swift rune, I can never use it probably. If I get that on a Will rune, I can use that. I'm pretty sure I can throw it on an Amelia, a Bolfric, anything. Like there's a whole bunch of units that can actually use it. Because every unit can use Will, but not every unit can use Swift. And that's the big difference. Like it's so much better to go for these offsets rather than a full set. Because making a full set requires a specific unit. While like Will, you could throw Will on anything. Like name it, you could probably throw Will on it, except Leo. But you could still throw Will on it. That's pretty much, yeah, sure, you have a bunch more units, but Will, like, if you get a quad roll speed on Will, you can still put that on your Swift unit. Like, it's not that you're wasting your speed, you can still put it on a Swift unit and it's still gonna be really good. So that's the thing. Even if you're like speed cleaving, that kind of stuff, like, okay, sure, if you never use Will, maybe go for it. But still then, let's look at another point. So point 3 is you get Swift, Guard, Shield, Destroy, Tolerance. I hear, sounds nice to, what? No, no one uses this. That's pretty much in my mind. So if you would rate this by points, like, okay, a usable set in RTA, well, for me, I care about RTA. Let's say usable set in PvP, Arena, Guild Siege, Guild War, anything, then it gets 1 point. If it's used sometimes, it gets 0.5. If it's used like really niche, 0.25. If it's not used at all, 0. So I would give Swift a 1. Guard, I would give 0. Sorry, yeah, maybe Tricario teams, but I don't care. Shield, 0.25. Destroy, even less, 0.10 or something. And then Tolerance, I'm like, do you even want to start on getting Tolerance, like grinds, gems, and that kind of stuff? Which also, so I would give this in all, like, I would give it like 1.35. Let's check that income. Like, oh yeah, this is my alt account, by the way. I have a little bit of mana, or a little bit of energy. Don't mind it. Yeah, you can see that I don't really farm on this account, right? Drop info, ancient runes, yes. So what do we have in the best one? In my opinion, the best one. So Despair, I will give Despair a whole 1 point. I give Will a whole 1 point. I give Nemesis half. And then Endure and Accuracy, I give 0. So this is 2.5. So in hindsight, this is already worth double, because Despair you can totally use, Will you can totally use. Maybe you use less Despair than you would use Will. Sure, fair enough. But still, this is worth at least 2 points, like according to that like standard. Then let's see what we have for the other ones. For this one, I would say Rage and Blade really matter. The other ones, not really. Nemesis a little bit. It just matters like if you're using this in RTA or not. So I'm not using Rage and Blade in RTA except for like 2 units, I think. It's not really interesting for me. If you're mainly cleaving, this kind of gets interesting, but still, I think Will runes are more interesting than most. This also gives Will, but the issue is, would you go for Vampire over Nemesis, which is a decent trade? Well, actually, Vampire over Despair. I think people use more Despair than Vampire. So you were already farming Elunia, which means all of the grinds that you had in like Accuracy and the other things that just came from Elunia are useless the moment you start farming this. Same for the other one. If you start farming the new one, it means all of the grinds that you had on previous things are gonna be absolutely useless, and you have to start from a 0 point of grinds, and it's gonna fill up your grind slots more, and we only have 1,000 slots, which is highly annoying. Well, 1,000 is pretty okay right now, I would say, but if you start decking out like more different kind of like ancient grinds and that kind of stuff, you're gonna have an issue at some point. I'm gonna tell you that. Like at some point you're gonna be like, I have to clean my slots again, but I can't really clean my slots because I have so many ancient grinds I don't want to throw away. And then if you came from Elunia, I would highly recommend you to keep farming Elunia. Of course, get the 2As, the units look cool. I think some of these units are actually pretty dope and pretty strong, and that looks pretty laggy. But yeah, we didn't see all the units yet. I think that will be pretty interesting. So the question is, will this break the game? No, definitely not. Are people gonna start popping up with like, oh, they have like incredible Asians, like Swift runes? Man, might as well be Will runes, and then you can use it on more versatile units in general. So sure, some people are like, is it actually gonna improve like the overall speed that people have? Barely. Like, to be honest, barely. simply because you have such like farming Swift speed runes or like re-upping Swift runes like you've probably done it in the past. You pretty much only want speed. You only want speed, and I keep saying this, but it is that way. You only want speed, and the moment you're speed chasing, you need a really big sample size to actually get some results. The thing is, you only have one energy per 2 hours. You're not gonna get the big sample size. Like, sure, you probably know someone that has like a 30 plus speed, like Ancient, Will Rune, or whatever. And that could have been Swift, sure. But I'm pretty sure that one Will Rune also equals to at least like 5 or 6 other Will Runes, which are usable just because they're Will Runes. And if they were Swift, those other 5, 6 runes would be useless. But that one Swift rune would be, of course, useful. But the other 5, 6 runes would be completely useless. And how long are we farming these ancient runes already? So for that perspective, I think like if you're lucky, you get like 1 or 2 good Swift runes per year, if you're lucky. That you can actually think like, wow, this is high speed, I can use this. If you just farm Elunia, I think you probably get like you might even get like 10, 15 will runes that you feel like, okay, can use this, like high end, like that's like G3 arena end that I'm talking about. Like, sure, you get like a whole bunch of stuff that other people could use like on lower ends and that kind of stuff. I'm talking like high end, but the odds of getting a good Swift rune is so difficult. It is actually legit so difficult. The moment SWC stopped, I started farming giants again. The fastest rune I got so far is a 25 speed on a +4 grind. So it's like, no, not 24 speed ungrinded. It was 21 speed ungrinded. And it was a flat stat slot 4. This is the fastest rune I got so far. And I think after that, I think it's something that was like a bunch of like 19s and 20s that I couldn't really use because there weren't really upgrades. And I have one of the fastest dungeon times, like you've seen it all the way on the channel. I farm hella lot. I farm all the time. And I have super fast teams. And even with that big a sample size, it's really difficult to get Swift speed runes. So if you're farming specifically for speed chasing, in Giants, sure, you can get away with that. Where you have a limited resource, it's going to be absolutely trash. So then also the question, let's say they make violent runes. Violent runes are so much diverse compared to Swift runes that I would say for violent runes, I would opt to switch, but still a maybe. Because in the end, pretty much any unit can go on violent. And for violent, anything that rolls high efficiency, you can probably use. So that's the big thing with will and with violent. You just have so many units that can back it up, that can use it. And therefore, any rune that's high efficient, you can pretty much use. With Swift, nah, man. You're gonna, I'm pretty sure you're gonna make a rune and you're like, and now I have 40 defense on the slot 3 Swift. Yep, I'm gonna re-up it again. Like, I'm pretty sure that will happen to people. I'm pretty sure that will happen to people, because why would you need 40 defense for on a Swift rune? And then you have it on a Will rune. It's like, I can make a badass Fang Yang. I can do something with this. Like, that's the thing. It just fits more. So, been kind of repeating the same as saying all over again. But that's it. That's my opinion. If you still want to farm a Swift, by all means, like, hey, your account, your life, your freedom. So sure, you can do it. It's just that I think it's not that smart, and definitely I will not do it, and definitely I will not recommend it to people. But if you want to do it, if you feel that's gonna help your account, for sure do it, because in the end it's still a game. Have fun, do the things you like to do, and you don't have to always work by the most efficient steps, because that might get boring at some point. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.